Hello everybody, this is Michelle Fox and welcome back to The Simple Quilter. Now today I'm going to be showing you June's mug rug for the monthly Magic Sew Along. And for those of you that don't know, each month I show how to do one mug rug. We're going to do 12, one for each month of the year, and today's is really cool. I think this is my favorite out of all of them. Now, I think there have been some cute ones, but I think today's is the cutest. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so here's my notebook, here's my binder, and as you can see, it's getting thicker and thicker. So let's take a peek at what we've had so far. We've had January's, February's, and for those of you that are new, there's a video out on each month, so you can go back and look if you haven't been joining us. Okay, there's March, April, May, and drum roll please, here is June's, and I think it turned out so cute. It reminds me of summer when I was a kid. We used to make these paper pinwheels. This was a super cute mug rug, super easy to do, so let's get started. Okay, so we usually start with my showing you the drawing. I did erase all the numbers there, and this isn't the best drawing because I didn't color it in or anything, but that's because I got busy on my EQ8 and did a little block. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to hold these up so you can see the cutting instructions. You can take a snapshot of this and use it to do your cutting. Okay, so I want to review the pieces that you need to cut. You are going to need four red squares for the inside of the pinwheel. This is actually an old block called a double pinwheel. Okay, you're going to need 4 red 2-inch squares. You are also going to need 4 white 2-inch squares, and that's for here. Now these are oversized just a little bit, but we need them to be oversized because we'll trim them down. You're going to need 4 rectangles measuring 2 by 3 1/4, and these are oversized. Now these 3 will be used to make the little, these are just flying geese, the little flying geese block right there. Then for these pieces, here, here, and here, you're going to need 4 1 3/4 by 3 inches. These are not oversized. These are cut to the size you need. Now to make this right here, you are going to need a yellow piece. Well, mine's yellow. You can make yours whatever color you want. And I did a 1 inch, and I also did 3/4 of an inch. It's whichever one you want, size you want to make, but that is 3/4 by 1 3/4. I think I like the narrow one better than the wider one on the mug rug that I finished. You're going to need, for this here, you're going to need, I used 3 yellow pieces that were 1 3/4 by 3 1/2, and then I picked 2 different aqua colored pieces that are 1 3/4 by 3 1/2. Now the last 2 pieces you need, or the last 4 cuts you need, are the outside pieces for here, and these are 1 1/4 inch strips. You'll need 2 1 1/4 inch strips by 5 1/2, and you'll need 2 strips 1 1/4 by 7 inches. Okay, so let's get started on the block assembly. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to mark the squares, the red ones and the white ones. And all we're going to do is on the wrong side of the fabric, we are going to draw a line from corner to corner. And we're going to do that on all the red 2-inch squares and all the white 2-inch squares. We're going to do that on every one. Now, if you're wondering about this, I get asked about this little booklet that I made, and I do have a video. I'll put a link above for the link to that video, but I have a video that shows you how to make these. But you're just going to do that on all of the blocks, so you'll be marking 8 blocks. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the flying geese block using the aqua rectangles and the 2-inch squares. I'm going to show you how to make one, but you're going to need to make 4 of them, just like this first one. Now, it's important to be sure you make all 4 the same, and you get the reds all to the right, and then we'll sew the whites on next. Again, I'm going to show you how to do 1, and then you'll make 4 just like this first one. I'm just going to pin these together. And I'm going to sew this, I'm going to sew, I've drawn a line, but I'm going to sew 1, just a tiny bit under that line, just right next to that line on this side. That just helps my flying geese turn out a little bit nicer. Okay, so I've sewn the little line right across there. Then I'm just going to trim this off 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to take it to the iron and I'm going to press it open. Okay, so you can see I have that pressed flat. If you need some help on knowing how to press your seams flat, I have a video out on that, and I will include a link for that. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your white square and you're going to sew it on just right next to that line on this side. And then you'll trim and press it just like on the other side. Now be careful and make sure you have right sides together. Okay, so I'm going to take the pins out, and I've sewn straight across there. And I'll line that up. Trim that down. Then I'm going to take it to the iron and I'm going to press it open. Now I'm going to trim it down to 1 3/4 of an inch. Now I do use the lines on my ruler, and you want to be sure to leave 1/4 of an inch there at the top. You're just trimming off a tiny bit, and this will be trimmed down to 3 inches. So I put my 1.5 inch mark right there in the middle. And again, I'm just using the 45-degree line on my ruler to help with the trimming. Okay, and you're going to do that, and you're going to make 4 just like that. Okay, so we're just going to get our pieces lined up. I have the 4 flying geese made. We're just going to line them up. You're going to take your 1 3/4 by 3 inch rectangles and put them in place. Okay, now before we sew those together, we have to make the stem. We have to make the little stem right here, the little plastic straw that you used when you were a kid. So what you're going to do, you're going to take your 1 3/4 inch by 3 inch rectangle, and you're just going to sew your little yellow piece onto the end. And then press it open. Okay, so now that has been pressed open and is flat, I'm going to trim it down to 3 inches. So it's the same size of these pieces. Now I can assemble the pinwheel. I'm going to sew these 2 together, these 2 together, these 2 together, and these 2 together. I'm going to sew them, and then I'm going to press them. So I'll start with this one, right sides together, pin, sew, and then press them open. Okay, so I have these sewn together, and we are just going to reassemble them. Okay, now these should be 3 inches, so if you want to square those up, you can square those up. But now I'm just going to sew those together. I'm going to sew these 2 here. And I'm going to sew these 2 together here. Okay. And then I'm going to press them open. Okay, so now I have the top and bottom there sewn. Now I'm just going to put these together. Just going to pin these, sew it, and press it open. I'm going to sew it and then press it open. Okay, now the pinwheel is pressed. Now I did press the middle seam open to help reduce bulk a little bit there. Now I'm just going to take my 5.5 inch pieces, and I'm going to sew them onto the sides, press them open, and then I'm going to take my 1 1/4 by 7 inch pieces and sew them there to complete that. Okay, so the pinwheel's made. So the last thing to do, or getting closer to the last things to do, we are going to lay out your pieces, side pieces like you want them. And you're just going to sew them together to make a row. Okay, so once that's ready, there's a couple more steps I do before I together. Now before I sew these together, I'm going to trim this down to 3/4 of an inch. See right there, I want that a little bit narrower. So I'm going to trim that down just a little bit. And this piece always comes up a little bit shorter, so I'm just going to trim about 1/8 of an inch off each side here. These will get trimmed down even more after you quilt them. Okay, and I'm just going to sew these together, and it will be the little top will be finished. Okay, now if you're using a white background, there's one more step you need to do. You need to turn it over and get rid of the threads, clean up the back. If you don't, these little threads will show through on, especially if they're red, will show through. Let me show you. On this one, you can see my red thread right there and right there. So I've got to now take time to get find my little tool that will help me get that out and pull that out. So be sure you clean up the back. And also, when you get ready to quilt it, be sure you clean up your batting. Now, the backing I cut 8 by 10.5. No, the batting I cut 8 by 10.5, and the backing is 9 by 11. And I'll spray base these on, and then that's ready to quilt. So in the comments below, tell me how you like this block. Tell me how you're coming along on the other mug rugs for this year. We're halfway there. We're on number 6. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Please share with a friend. And as always, leave a comment. I love to get those comments and try to reply to each and every one. So until next time, have fun quilting.